Welcome to Organizational Sherlocks, the podcast where business meets psychology and your organizational puzzles meet their match.
Join us for captivating stories and practical solutions to unravel your toughest challenges.
I'm Dr. Elizabeth Fleming.
And I'm Morgan Ashworth, your guides to a prescription for business success.
Let's dive in to a great conversation today. I am so excited, Morgan.
Yeah, happy early New Year's to you, Elizabeth, and to our listeners if you're listening on New Year's Eve right now. Do you have the day off? You kind of do, I'm sure, because you're working for yourself.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, so I definitely have the day off. So it just a little bit of relaxation. Actually, just got back from a trip to Hawaii, so I'm gonna be doing probably lots of laundry over the next day or so. How about you?
We had a great holiday season. I just celebrated my birthday on Saturday, actually. So, celebrated my birthday. It was on a Saturday this year. I usually feel like I don't luck out with it being on the weekends, though everyone has it every few years on the weekend. So looking forward to a new year, big, prosperous new year with a lot of plans for the future.
Absolutely. Yeah. So out of curiosity, Morgan, do you have any New Year's resolutions? I know that's a big thing that people do, right? Maybe some more than others, but do you have any in particular kind of resolutions that you're looking at?
You know, for myself personally, I don't have any major resolutions. I feel like every month I kind of make a resolution for the coming month in general. And so for me, it's just about making sure I have some time to myself to read, to work out, to do my personal things. Been really busy this past month. And so I feel like I haven't prioritized me as much.
That's totally fair. Yeah. Yeah, I've always kind of struggled with resolutions, like personal ones, because it's kind of like similar to goal setting, right? Where if you set your goals for just like this really long time, it's harder to accomplish them because they're not just kind of, top of mind all the time. So I like to break mine up into more manageable chunks, whether that's by month or week or whatever it is. So I'm similar in that way.
I know the gym will be real busy in the coming month, but then it'll quiet down probably March time. Then it bounces back up a little before summer and then back down again. But I'm always at the gym, so
it's my least favorite time at the gym. Just as an FYI,
I
don't want to compete for a machine, but that's okay.
Yeah, I might be getting up at 5 a.m. for the following couple weeks until it dies down a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, speaking of resolutions, we are sharing with you guys some resolutions we have for the podcast in the new year, maybe a little goal setting. Elizabeth, why don't you take us through one of the first ones?
Yeah, definitely can do that. So we thought it'd be kind of fun to come up with some organizational Sherlocks resolutions for all of our listeners, as Morgan mentioned, and kind of breaking it up into our top 10. We will be posting this on social media as well. So if you're listening, please go and check out the graphic, like it, share it, give us your thoughts because it will help us to just continually refine what we're doing over here at Organizational Sherlocks as well. Yeah. But as I'm giving you this super long-winded response, Morgan, our first New Year's resolution is less talking, more solving. So I completely just ruined that one. So good thing it's not the new year yet, right?
Yeah, we got one more day before you have to apply that. So less talking, more solving. We feel like sometimes we might chit chat a little too much and not kind of give you guys that direct information. If you like our chit chat, please let us know. You know, we've been complimented on it by some of our guests, but we want to know what you guys want to hear as well. So feel free to give us some feedback there. And are you going to apply this in your life too? Less talking, more solving. So having that solution focus over that rumination on talking about the problem.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, as we think about kind of each of these resolutions that we're planning to go through, something that comes to mind is, I will be honest, and all of our listeners who probably already know this, I tend to be a little sarcastic and a little funny at times, as do you, Morgan. And so I think we want to ground this as we have promised all of you. And so if less talking, more solving is something that you're interested in having as a resolution, in the workplace, it may look like, having a meeting that's kind of wanders off course. I think we've all
15-minute
been.
meetings. I don't know if, sorry to interrupt, but
No,
15-minute meetings. It's that idea of that half hour, that hour-long meeting probably only has to be 15 minutes. So less talking, more solving.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, how do we get there? I know I have a couple of clients that have chosen to do, like they don't do any 60-minute meetings. It's all, or 30, they do 20 minutes or 50 minutes, right? One, because they get a little bit of a break in between and can kind of shift if they need to. But also, just because when you have less time, I think you tend to be a little bit more focused in on what you're trying to do. So, it definitely applicable, and something we over here will aim to do.
Yeah. Number 2 on our list, though, is to limit the detective themed puns. Maybe. I mean, I prefer our detective themed puns. It also, we have that detective theme surrounding our action items, our intro and our extra, obviously our name as well. But maybe we'll have more, maybe we'll have less. We'll see.
You know what? Here's the thing with resolutions is you don't always meet them, right? But we can try. But I do think they're fun too. The detective theme puns, because we all are aiming to be organizational Sherlocks, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Sorry, I'm getting messages on the side here from my my team at work. So if I seem a little distracted, I will try to not do that. So Elizabeth, take us through a little bit more on your thoughts there.
Yeah. Well, actually, I will say that what you just said about getting the notifications from work leads directly into our third resolution, which is to master the art of the mute button. And I will tell you, being
or
on
the silencing button.
Or the silencing button. Yeah, silencing your notifications. Like being on so many virtual meetings over the last however many years. Wow, it is like mute buttons are like the best thing ever invented, whether that's because my dog is barking in the background or my kids just decide to run into the room or my husband is asking me a question. I don't know. There's just always something going on. And that background noise can be a little bit tough. I know that even in kind of the launch of our podcast, I have become a lot more mindful about interrupting when somebody's talking, or even just doing kind of the validating. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. Listen before you respond.
Yeah.
Not hear and react. Listen and respond appropriately. But funny enough that you bring that up, I have a Christmas gift I was given, and it's a mouse pad that's called Conference Call Bingo, and there's the sound of someone typing, so that background noise, the family members or pets deciding to join, that has happened to us that we've had to edit out, technical difficulties, loud echo, feedback, and uninterrupted or unintended interruption. And so truly mastering the art of the mute button is an important resolution for all working remotely or partaking in some remote meetings.
Absolutely. And I will just take it one step further and say, if someone mutes you, it's probably not because it's not personal. I just want to throw that out there. Like if you're on a meeting and someone mutes you, it's not personal. It really probably is more of you don't maybe even know that you're muted. So that's something I've had people share with me or get upset about in the past. And it's like, but it's loud. So we're just trying to help the meeting along.
Don't interrupt.
Exactly. Well, I know our fourth resolution is probably going to be your favorite. So would you share?
Going on tangents with purpose. I think this one is more reflected at Elizabeth for her tangents and questions and on the spot that she likes to do. Obviously, I did a little purposeful tangent just a little bit ago with my conference called Bingo Mouse Pad. But making sure that our tangents are in fact purposeful, they do provide some sort of feedback to the question being asked, or they add something new to the conversation that applies to the conversation for you guys. Are you guys going to similarly make sure that your tangents have a purpose when it comes to the workplace?
Yeah. Well, and I think that it depends on the type of the meeting. I think so many of things, these resolutions too, are a little bit dependent on the meeting type, right? If you're there to solve a problem, a tangent's probably not your best choice, right? If you're there to kind of, if it's a monthly staff meeting and you're, maybe don't have a lot on the docket, but you're working on building relationships, like that can be really fun to have some of that creativity and kind of liveliness in a meeting from time to time. So even though I do go on tangents a lot with this podcast, I would like to think it's because I'm comfortable and I feel safe in doing so. But if I am in a problem solving meeting, that's not typically my style.
Yeah.
So.
And I do think this also relates to talking less talking, more solving.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah, relates back to it. Number 5, Elizabeth, I think this one might be targeted at me.
I'm not gonna claim that. It's the new year. I gotta start the new year being a nice person. No, I'm just kidding. We at
You're not gonna be a nice person.
Well, I don't know. After the holiday, like I don't know. We won't go that. That was one of those tangents that we don't have a purpose for. So I'm gonna just nix that one.
Okay.
But our 5th resolution is to actually follow our own advice. So all of the things we've shared with you already, we have to probably follow it. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we will. I definitely feel that we've had more, more outlines for our conversations to keep us on topic first off, and then, making sure that we have a clear agenda. Those outlines are super important. We do have a podcast schedule that we follow, so we hope that you guys also follow schedules and priority lists. I know I love my calendar as well, so hopefully you guys apply that as well as us.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a level of adaptability that you have to have. I know we do with our podcast. There's times where we kind of switch episode topics around a little bit, but in general, there's a nice structure. And, we have an idea of what we want this podcast to be like. So we would love to hear, again, what you would like to hear from us.
Yeah. And I think this is actually an important resolution for leaders. You have to walk the walk. You can't just talk the talk.
Exactly.
Make sure that you are, in fact, following your own advice as a leader. So if you're telling someone to be more mindful, you better be more mindful as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Model the behavior that you want to see.
Yeah.
Right.
Leaders model, bosses tell.
Yes, exactly. I love that. All right. So this one, the next one we have is not like a massive issue for me generally, but it's one of my pet peeves. So I'm going to commit to email minimalism. So like keeping emails short and sweet, relevant, succinct, kind of to the point, obviously with a little bit of like relationship building. But I say that because I need to follow my own advice, right? So going back to the last one we just shared, that's something that I want to do as well. I don't know about you, Morgan.
Yeah. No, I think this resolution is one that's kind of for everyone, not just ourselves, but definitely committing to email minimalism. This less so applies to the podcast itself, but Elizabeth and I are working with emails just like the rest of you constantly. And I know we've talked about junk mail. We've talked about our junk mail emails in the past, right? A lot of people have a junk mail email. So if companies can, follow email minimalism, not just keeping email short, but minimizing the amount of emails they're sending, they'll be a little bit more authentic with the emails they do, in fact, send.
Can I just throw out there too that I think there is not enough just picking up the phone real quick. It can be a 30-second conversation. It doesn't need to be an email. Sometimes I wish people would just pick up the phone and say, hey, do you know this answer? Great, cool, bye, and hang up. I don't know. Sometimes I wish that would happen because otherwise it gets lost in my inbox.
Yeah, I much prefer phone calls. Honestly, it's a huge pet peeve of mine when I have the simplest thing that's sent to me in an email and it gets shoved under 100 other emails I get, and I say, you're a member of my team. You are literally on the other side of the wall from me when I'm in the office. Why don't you either just come and talk to me or pick up the phone? It's an easy question, and I am sick of the back and forth. I will be honest, I have gotten a little bit more curt there because I had the conversation. So follow it. I will admit, I just ignored a call, and I chatted them instead, but that is because I was in a meeting.
See, I love Teams chat or whatever chat you use. I know the school that I work at uses Google, and it's just nice because it's just quick and easy. I know, if it's a quick question, it just works better. Anyway, okay, so now I just took us on a super long train on that one. But will you share our next resolution?
Yeah, so number 7, staying curious, Sherlock style. So this is going to come from us anyhow, but we are not going to stop research. We are not going to stop bringing on guests. We are constantly going to be bringing on people to learn from, as well as new subject matter for Elizabeth and I that we are learning that we want to share with you guys. And so that means we also want to hear what you want to learn about. So you need to stay curious, Sherlock style, and share with us what you want to learn so we can make sure it is, in fact, involved in our podcasts.
Exactly. I couldn't have said it better myself. I think that's perfect. Okay. I'm going to move to the next one if that's okay.
Sure.
All right. I just don't feel like there's anything more that we can say with that one because it's so true. I just love the curiosity. Okay. Anyway, I think we've kind of talked a little bit about this throughout this episode too. Like sometimes technology doesn't work out, or we have, again, interruptions, all of that. And so I think there's a level of adaptability and, kind of how we respond to situations that we're not expecting. And so for number 8, for Organizational Sherlocks, our resolution is to embrace the unexpected with less panic. So not that we're super panicky, but there are times where I feel a little bit like, well, what are we going to do? The technology's not working, or we can't hear our guests very well, or, but how do we embrace that rather than getting frustrated by it?
Yeah, no, I know we had that in the past where, guests couldn't turn on their camera because something was wonky with their technology. And so we had a picture up of him instead while he was talking.
Right.
So definitely embracing the unexpected and learning how to work with it. Unexpected circumstances can be overwhelming, but if you maintain that solution focus over the rumination of the problem, then you will be able to commit to solving that problem and facing that unexpected circumstance more quickly and easily without feeling so stressed, anxious, or overwhelmed.
Exactly. I love that. So I think it's really about patience, and humor. I love humor. So
Patience, humor, definitely.
Like when things don't work out, I'm like, just crack a joke. It'll be fine. Like we'll get through it. It's not the end of the world.
A little bit of black humor sometimes, dark humor.
Yes. Well, there's a little bit of that for me at times.
Yeah. You have to have humor through situations. You can't be serious all the time. And so when you have a negative circumstance, it's really helpful to add a little bit of humor to that. It kind of lets you blow off steam. And in the end, you're being mindful through humor because you know what's going on, but you let yourself feel the emotions anyhow, even if that is an emotion of being funny.
Exactly. No, I love that. I think that is perfect. So our 9th resolution, I think is kind of funny. I don't know that the title that we came up with. I mean, I think this is where that humor comes in, right? So we'll just throw it out there. So the resolution is to listen twice as much as we talk. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to stop talking. That's not what it's all about. Do you want to give us kind of a description about what listen twice as much as we talk is all about, Morgan?
Yeah. Well, we bring on guests, and so it's really important to let our guests share their stories and, make themselves shine to an extent because we're learning from them. We kind of talked about this earlier as well, in that you need to be able to actually listen and hear the person out before you respond. And you shouldn't focus on just responding or reacting. You should focus on applying what that person discussed with you in your response. So you need to be conscious. You need to be present. And yes, active in the conversation, being an active listener and an active responder or an active participant in the conversation.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's important. And I will say that is one that I plan to carry into my work outside of Organizational Sherlocks as well. Because there's so much that we can learn about people and their experiences and different organizations. And in the new year, that's something that I really want to focus on too. So there's a little personal twist to that one as well.
Yeah, that sounds great. And then number 10, last but not least, we have keep it fun and fresh. We talked about humor a little bit, but Elizabeth, take us a little bit more through why this was one of our resolutions today.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think, it goes back to the origin story, if you will, of Organizational Sherlocks, because, when Morgan and I were planning to start this podcast, we said we wanted to be really conversational. We wanted to be real. We don't, want it to be fully scripted, as you probably recognize, right? And so I think part of that is making sure that we're continuing that into the new year and really making Organizational Sherlocks and this podcast and our community of listeners a place for kind of new perspectives, right? And people bringing in new insights and challenging our way of thinking and expanding it, but doing that all in a really fun way,
Yeah. We want to be entertaining to you guys. Obviously, we are a podcast. You're going to hear us giggle. You're going to hear us laugh. But we want it to be educational too. So we want to make this that place where you go when you're on that drive, when you're doing that workout, when you need something to listen to in the background while you're working. We want to be that where we're entertaining because we're fun and fresh, but we're also educational. So you're getting something out of it constantly.
Right.
I know one of my terms I've used is to be a sponge of knowledge, and you're a better sponge of knowledge when something is entertaining or engaging to you.
Exactly. Yeah. We don't want it to be stale, right? I mean, I think that's no fun. So there's a lot of, we could just throw information out there and give it all to you. And if that is something that you're interested in, we're absolutely willing to post something up on social media. But I think really it's about kind of finding ways for us all to be engaged and energized by the conversation, rather than just throwing it out there. So those are our 10 resolutions of the year. Again, we will be posting it on social media, and I would encourage all of our listeners to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and comment. Let us know if there was any that really kind of felt true for you, and maybe ones that you kind of are sharing in the new year's for your own resolutions rather. And yeah, we just ask that you engage and let's make this a really fun community.
Yeah. Give us your perspectives on these resolutions. Does one resonate with you? Do you look at one differently than we looked at it? And what other ones do you have, maybe for us or for yourself? We would love to hear what resolutions you have for the new year as well.
Absolutely. Well, Morgan, I think that I'm ready now, having just thrown it all out to the world, what our resolutions are, and hopefully all of our listeners will keep us or hold us accountable to them. So I am ready for the new year and excited to see what comes.
Yeah, enjoy your celebration tonight. I'm sure you'll be up till midnight as well. And Happy New Year's to you and all of our listeners. I will be celebrating an hour before you, though.
That's true. I'll send you a text then. I usually do watch like the New York City ball drop. So I do watch it about an hour ahead of time, and then I go to bed. So I probably won't be up till noon or midnight, but
maybe up till my midnight. It's okay.
Neither here nor there. That sounds good. Well, have a wonderful new year. I'll see you in 2025, Morgan. And to our listeners, we will see you in 2025 as well. So this concludes another intriguing episode of Organizational Sherlocks. I'm Elizabeth Fleming.
And I'm Morgan Ashworth, reminding you that the journey to success is an ongoing investigation.
Stay curious, stay strategic, and keep utilizing insights to decode your business mysteries.
Join us every Tuesday for your next Whodunit. This is Organizational Sherlocks, closing today's case and closing off the year so we can celebrate the new year.
Happy New Year, everyone. See you next time.